Hello and welcome to another episode of intelliTALKS. And today my guest is Daniel from Link My Books. Hello, Daniel. Welcome.
Hi, Marcel. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I know a lot of people have heard about Link My Books and they're eager to maybe find out more about from the right person behind the brand. And I'm also eager to learn more and discover more about what you guys do there. Maybe some secrets that you can share with us, some do's and don'ts. But before we get into it, Daniel, tell us a bit about yourself and the history of Link My Books, how you got to get, let's say, into this area of the business. And it's the most headache, if you ask me, in terms of taxes and everything. But you're the expert, so yeah.
I actually started as an Amazon seller myself. So back in 2013, I started an Amazon business, and I built up a brand. It was like a swimming brand, and I ended up selling that business in 2016. And then I took the cash from that one to start another one, and rolled that one up. That was like an outdoor and sports brand, and that one I sold in 2018. And throughout that journey, you're right, one of the big headaches for me was accounting. I think I went through probably 6 or 7 local accountants until I found one who actually understood e-commerce and made sure that everything was accurate. I tried various softwares out there and nothing was like ideal for the UK market, which was where I was selling. And so I decided that when I sold my second Amazon business that I wanted to try my hand at software, basically the software side of things. So my business partner, Pete, he actually was an Amazon seller as well. And believe it or not, funny story, we actually competed. So we sold the same sort of products. And so we were like
same
the
category.
Enemies. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, enemies, but we became friends through being enemies. And then we always joked like, oh, we could probably start a business together because we get on quite well. And then fast forward 5 more years, and here we are. We're now 5 years into building Link My Books. So effectively, what Link My Books does is it takes away all that headache. So we automate accurately your e-commerce bookkeeping. So that's Amazon, eBay, Shopify, and Etsy that we're currently connected to at the moment. We've also got Walmart, which is coming. It's approved by Walmart, but we're just in the development phase of that. And on the bookkeeping side, we connect to Xero and QuickBooks. So effectively, we sit in the middle as sort of the middleman, fetching all the data and passing it into your bookkeeping system.
No, that's great. So you're really taking a lot of, let's say, an Amazon seller's head, or an e-commerce seller in general, because you've mentioned other platforms as well. That's really intriguing. I'm very curious. Let's look at some of the mistakes that can happen in this area, and I'm sure you've ran into a lot of them, or at least you've heard from people about what could go wrong. But before we dive into that, okay, so we can dive into the presentation. I will add it to the screen. Here we go. So please, Daniel, you have the stage.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I guess a little bit about who me and Pete are. May have gone through that a little bit already, but we are both ex-7-figure Amazon sellers. I exited my latest business in 2018 and Pete did his in 2019. So we have the sort of e-commerce background, and then the rest of our team is made up of accountants. So we've got 5 qualified accountants in our team, and together we sort of do the customer support, but also build up the software as well. And as I said, Link My Books effectively sits in between the sales channels like Shopify, Amazon, Etsy, and eBay, and then your bookkeeping software like Xero and QuickBooks. And effectively, we're automating everything that needs to be done on the bookkeeping side so that you don't have to worry about that. So how does it actually work? Well, if you think about an Amazon account, for example, let's take a North American Amazon account and a US business operating that account. So here we have an example of some payouts that client has received into their bank account. And so what Link My Books is doing is it's saying what the payout amount was, which marketplace it came from, and the date range which that was made up of. So effectively what we are doing is each time the client receives a payout, we are pulling in the information that makes up that payout so that we can create a summary invoice ready to go across to their bookkeeping system. So inside each of those payout entries is where all the detail is. So we have all the sales and fees and refunds and most importantly, taxes broken down so that everything is accurately accounted for to the correct sections of their profit and loss reports or income statements with the correct tax rates. Now, with this being a US account, everything is tax exempt because sales tax is collected and remitted by Amazon. But if it was a UK seller, for example, then they would see all sorts of different VAT rates. The same for an Australian seller, they would see all sorts of different GST rates. So once that gets into their bookkeeping system, it means that it's nice and easy for them to analyze their sales information so they can see their refunds, their sales, all the different types of fees. But they can also see their cost of goods sold, which is another feature that we have, which effectively the sales and fees and taxes is one part of bookkeeping, but the other part is the inventory that you've purchased or made, which is then being sold. That needs to be accounted for as a cost of sale as well. So effectively what we do here is we say, you tell us the cost price of each of your items, and then as they are being sold, we will then move that value from an inventory account on the balance sheet into a profit and loss cost of goods sold account. So what that looks like is you end up with an extra line on your income or profit and loss statement. And that means that now you can see what your true bottom line is straight away in your bookkeeping system. So that's all nice. Of that is automated for you. So what do you need to do is the question. And the answer is really, really simple. So every time you see a payout from Amazon, eBay, Shopify, or Etsy coming into your bookkeeping system, then there'll be a corresponding invoice automatically generated from Link My Books already. So all you need to do is click OK to reconcile that deposit matches that invoice. And it's the same on QuickBooks as well. But other than it looks a little bit different, you just press match instead of OK. So really straightforward. So it's a nice, easy reconciliation of your bank statement. All the information is going into the correct section of your P&L or the income statement. And also your taxes are all correct, which is really important. We'll come to some reasons as to why that is. So how hard is this to set up then? If it's all dead easy and all works and it's automated for you, then it must be dead hard to set up, I guess. But the answer is it's not. Obviously, we've made it as easy and straightforward as possible. So in terms of, again, if we look at an Amazon US account with a US business underlying that, then it's only 2 steps to set up this account. Effectively, the first step is tell us which accounts in your chart of accounts, which sort of revenue accounts you want each of the different transactions to be mapped to. So in this case, we've got Amazon sales going to Amazon sales, for example. You might have that going to an account called sales or whatever. Like you can use our default accounts, which is 95% of people do, or you can create your own in your like Xero or QuickBooks account, and you can use existing ones as well. So you would select those, and then you would confirm the tax rates. So in this case, we have a US business. So we're looking at sales that are shipped to the US and outside the US. If it was a UK or an Australian business, then this would look a little bit more complicated, but we pre-fill all the tax rates for you with our expertise in e-commerce accounting. So most businesses will just accept our default tax rates, and then you know that it's going to be nice and accurate. Obviously, it's up to you to double check that they are correct for your individual business, but we have done a lot of research into this and worked with hundreds of e-commerce accountants across the world to make sure that these are as accurate as they can be.
And I'm sure you're constantly up to date with the law changes, because that's actually the trouble out there.
Correct, yeah. So, for example, when Brexit went through and the UK left the European Union, then that created a whole headache for sellers, because the sales that happened before the Brexit transition period had to be treated one way, and the sales after had to be treated another way. If you were a Link My Books user, there was no headache because we automated that. All your sales up to the 31st of December 2020 were treated one way, and after that, they were treated another way. So it just happened automatically in the background.
Oh, yeah, that's something good to hear.
Yeah.
Considering the headache that Brexit gave us, everyone, but yeah. Okay,
that's I know, indeed. I mean, it gave us quite a big headache to actually set all of that up, but from a customer's point of view, they didn't feel any pain at all, no. So, so then in terms of pricing, the pricing we offer is based on a sliding scale. So it starts at $17 per month for US customers or £13 for UK customers. And we also do pricing in Australian dollars, but I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what that is. It's done on a sliding scale effectively. So if you have a low number of orders and only want to connect one sales channel, then your pricing will be really low. And as you scale up and need more orders or more sales channels, then the pricing increases. It doesn't go up astronomically. It is very reasonable throughout the whole range. And most people can actually save more in terms of saved bookkeeping fees or accountancy fees, and also occasionally also save taxes, because if you're doing this accurately, then you can reduce your tax bill effectively, which we can come on to in the questions later on. All plans come with free one-to-one onboarding. So if you want to work with one of the accountants in the team to set your account up, then we can do a one-to-one video session and make sure that it's set up exactly to your needs. We've got email and chat support with those accountants, so you can speak to them and ask any questions you've got. And it's a free 14-day trial on all the plans. And lastly, if you want to go back, say 2 years, so say you've got no bookkeeping done for the last 2 years, hopefully you haven't, but if you did, then we can pull all that information from the sales channel for the last 2 years as well.
Oh, that's great. But
that's me done.
Oh, okay, super. But go back a bit, because I do have a question. Like this is like on the pricing, yes?
Oh, yeah,
next one. Here we go. So on this one, I'm curious because you need to, let's say, see how many sales you're doing per month. That's clear. But we have months like July, when it's with Prime Day, or Black Friday, November, and December sales, which will definitely, for most of or some of the sellers, will go through the roof. How are those treated, or it's treated on a month-to-month basis?
Yeah, so we try and be as fair as possible. So a customer who comes in brand new to us, we will look at not just their last 30 days of order count. We'll look at their last 12 months of order count, and we'll average it out. So if they've done 1,000 orders every month, and then in the latest month they've done 10,000 orders, then it would average out to, say, 2,000 orders, and that would be the order count we would use. And then it just continues on a rolling 12-month basis. So even though you have a spike in sales in Q4 or a spike in sales in July for Prime Day, then it still gets averaged out over the 12-month period. So you don't end up overpaying or having to constantly change plan or anything like that. So it should work out for most sellers.
All right. What about a new seller that has little to no sales, but still needs to do taxes?
Yeah, so we have lots of clients who are very, very small clients, and then we have medium, and then we have large clients as well. Some of our largest do like 1 million+ orders a month. Some of the smallest do just a couple of orders per month. So everyone needs to do their bookkeeping at the end of the day. And I think that it's a case of, for small sellers, for $17 a month, is it worth spending no time at all on your bookkeeping, having it fully automated, or would you rather be nose deep in a spreadsheet for a couple of hours every month? Depends on what you value your time at, I suppose. Sometimes when you're a new business owner, your time is less valuable than your funds, because you don't have a lot of cash to be able to pay for things. But as you start to realize that you want to spend more time growing your business and less time looking in the rearview mirror as to how it's done, then you might think that actually $17 to have this totally off my plate and be able to focus on growth is going to be a good investment. And that's the way I sort of look at it.
That's great. Does it work also for, I'm sorry, I went into questions. I do have a questions because I'm interested myself in this very useful tool to simplify things. Because the way I see things as an entrepreneur, you need to get things off your head and try to automate or simplify things as much as possible, so you can focus on the good parts of the business. So I do have some questions.
I agree.
Does it work also with KDP, with Merged by Amazon? Are those also included here in the bookkeeping system?
So it works with Amazon Seller Central only. So not with, I think KDP is Kindle, isn't it? And
yes, Kindle direct publishing.
Amazon. Yeah, so Merged by Amazon, I think, is a separate system as well. So it only works with Amazon Seller Central at the moment, but it does work with all marketplaces. So Amazon Europe, Amazon North America, Japan, Australia, Saudi, all the marketplaces we support.
Perfect. How is it handling, for example, in terms of let's say adding other expenses to or this is only for Amazon and you're extracting the Amazon reports, and afterwards all the other expenses that you have on your business will be treated, let's say, separately in another system, or you can integrate them here?
Yeah, so the idea here is that we are the middleman in between your sales channels like Amazon and then your bookkeeping platform like Xero or QuickBooks. So you'll be entering all your other business expenses directly inside your bookkeeping system like Xero or QuickBooks. So the part that we are taking care of is the funds that are deposited from Amazon. We break down what those are made up of. So we will tell you what, for each of those deposits, what was that? What was its sales? What was refunds? What was taxes? What was fees? And then we can also automate the cost of goods sold side of things that we briefly touched on in the presentation. But in terms of like any software purchases that you make, say, for example, your Link My Book subscription or your subscription to intelliRANK, or you have purchased some, I don't know, computers for your business, then all of those other expenses you would enter directly in your bookkeeping system as normal. The part that we are taking care of is the sales information from your sales channels. So that when you get onto your bank statement within your bookkeeping system and you're looking through all your purchases, and you can see your Link My Book subscription, your intelliRANK subscription, you can see your purchases of computers, and then you see a deposit from Amazon, then the deposit from Amazon will be matched up automatically to the invoice that we've generated, which breaks down all of the sales, refunds, fees, taxes, etc.
No, that's awesome. All right, good. So that's very convenient and easing up on things. And thank you for clarifying that.
Okay.
What would be the let's say the mistakes that you've seen throughout let's say your experience on the sellers out there? What mistakes do they do? And yeah, let me go back to showing us, and I've removed the presentation. Yeah. What could you share from the mistakes perspective? Because I'm sure not a lot of people know the taxes very well, on what to expect or how to actually give them the right, how to put it, value in the business. Because
so we see a lot of mistakes, to be honest. We did some research recently and we found that around 75% of the Amazon sellers that we are working with were overpaying tax in some form or way, basically. And a lot of those reasons can be really small things, like, for example, they're using the wrong reports from Amazon. So they're taking, for example, the summary report, which covers the entire month, and they're just assuming that those revenue and expense figures are accurate, when in reality, those revenue figures are not split by country, for example. So if you're selling in UK or you're selling in Australia, for example, and you're registered as a business there, then your UK sales will be treated differently to sales that have gone outside the UK. So if you're just taking that date range summary report and you're looking at FBA product sales, £10,000, and you just think, right, okay, I can put those in my bookkeeping system as £10,000 of sales with 20% VAT on, then all of a sudden now you're overpaying VAT, because of those £10,000 worth of sales, some of them might have gone outside the UK. And so now, because you've accounted for them as 20% VAT on sales, you've just overpaid VAT. And we see this like an unreal amount of times, especially with UK and Australian sellers, as I say, that they're not doing it correctly. And even some of the accountants that are doing it for them, they aren't doing it correctly either. And I think it's just a misunderstanding of how Amazon works. A lot of people do things like they assume that Amazon.co.uk sales must be going to a UK customer. But just because it's sold on Amazon.co.uk doesn't mean that it went to a UK customer. It could go anywhere. It could go to Hong Kong, Australia, Japan, anywhere. And so all of those sales that are going outside the UK need to be separated out. The other thing that people do after the Brexit transition period, again, looking at UK and European sellers, is Amazon is collecting and remitting the VAT on certain sales directly to the tax authorities. And those sales, again, need to be separated out. Otherwise, you end up overpaying tax. From a US point of view, a lot of people will take sort of their the payout amount, which is received into the bank account. Say they've received $10,000, and they'll say, I'm going to do cash accounting, and I'm just going to account for that full $10,000 as sales, because Amazon has already taken off their fees, and therefore what's left is my net revenue. And so, okay, I can account for that as sales. Now, the problem with this is that Amazon send you a 1099K every year, which you need to file with the IRS, or you need those figures to file with the IRS. And if those figures don't match your figures that are showing in your bookkeeping system, then the IRS can send you a tax audit, basically, and they can look into and give you questions as to why don't your figures match what Amazon has told us. Because Amazon's figures will take the total sales and the total promotions and the total sales tax, and they will add those all up, and they will generate the 1099K. And if you're just taking that net amount that you receive into your bank account, then that's obviously refunds have been taken off, all Amazon's fees have been taken off. Sometimes Amazon might reserve some funds to pay out later. So those numbers are going to be wildly different to the numbers that are shown on the 1099K. And that means that your bookkeeping is not accurate. So we solve that because we separate out all these things into sales, refunds, fees, taxes, etc. And therefore, those figures match exactly to the cent the figures that came on the 1099K, which means that the IRS is going to be very happy because they get the figures from Amazon, and then you file your income report at the end of the year, and they match up exactly.
Yeah, we know with accounting it has to go to the comma, so everything to the cent, like you said, everything needs to match exactly like that. Yeah, so this is a very important topic for everyone to actually take a better look at taxes and not treat it like easily with let's say miscommunication from either parts. So yeah, it's a very good approach, and I'm sure that Link My Books can definitely help out into making things a lot easier for everyone and taking this weight of your shoulders and of our shoulders. And I have to say that personally, I'm very interested in Link My Books. I will definitely try to get a hold of Daniel afterwards to work something out.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
For everyone here, we also have the link to the website. It's linkmybooks.com. Daniel, would you like to add something else to this? Maybe some other thoughts or maybe some insights?
Yeah, I suppose that just to recap that we don't just work with Amazon, we work with Shopify, Etsy, and eBay, and also we have Walmart in the pipeline. So if you're selling on multiple channels, then this obviously can become even more complicated because now you've got to do the bookkeeping from various different places. So having that all done in one house to one standardized type of entry makes your bookkeeping a lot cleaner and just easy to understand. And it's not just about saving time and saving money on all your taxes and actually spending money on accountancy fees, but also it's about having the right data to be able to then make good business decisions. Like if you're not doing accurate bookkeeping, then how can you realistically grow your business without knowing where you're making your money? Surely you need to know what is making you profit in order to spend more time on that. So for example, if you're selling across multiple channels and 92% of your profit comes from one of those channels, then why are you bothering with the other channels? Why not focus on growing the ones that are making you the most amount of money? So like I suppose it's a bit like a bit of that 80, as well. 20. Exactly, yeah.
It's important to have a look into that,
Yeah.
All right, super.
And then for you and any of the audience, I think we've got a discount code as well. So if anyone wants to sign up, any of the monthly plans will do 10% off for the life of you being a customer with the discount code that's on the screen there, intelliRANK10.
Thank you for that. We really appreciate it, and thank you, Daniel, for the insightful presentation. I guess if anyone has any questions, we can also use the comments below. So I'm sure I'll get Daniel to respond to any questions that might arise. But until then, Daniel, thank you very much for showing us all the benefits of Link My Books, and I'm looking forward to having you again in the podcast.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you very much for your time today, Marcel.
Thank you, and take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.